college football this weekend.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I got a whole list of games. We're going to obviously start it off with Texas at Michigan. Right now the spread is Texas -7.5. Obviously, want to hear you guys' picks. And if you have a prop for that game, throw that in there as well.
Cam, good pick. I'm taking Texas -7. I might even take Texas -10, to be honest with you. How that Michigan team played last week, that offense looked like it had no idea what was going on. And it's against a G5 team who Fresno State's good. They returned their quarterback. But against Texas, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and ride Texas, but y'all have no reason to not win, to me, by at least 2 scores. I think Michigan responds better than they did last week. But you're talking about -7.5 for that spread. The money line should be in Texas' favor regardless. But I'm taking that spread, bro.
Yeah, I think it's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Carlos. Texas -7.5, Texas -8, -8.5, and when it drops to 9, hit it at every single
Texas
number.
by a million.
I think this Texas game, this is the most tailored matchup for a showcase game for Texas. Everyone knows it. It's all rat poison, and it's not going to matter. I think we can match up everywhere where they have a strength. I don't think that there's any overwhelming strength to weakness for us. I think there's plenty for us to them. There's like 7 guys on this team that are like number 1 receivers, and we're very deep. Will Johnson, like I said, can't cover everybody, but even him, the way Quinn Ewers is manipulating with his eyes and the way he's aggressive on reading quarterback's eyes and jumping stuff, look for one of those no-look passes. I got a bold prediction, actually. I think Texas goes 2 straight weeks without letting a team into the end zone. I don't think Michigan gets in the end zone. I think Texas scores more than 35 points in this game.
But that's not surprising the way their offense looks.
I agree.
Yes, I think Texas scores more than 35 points in this game. One, I think Sark will have a great game plan to attack an overly aggressive Wink Martindale defense. So we'll get off to a quick start, and then when that offense can't stay on the field for Michigan, it's going to only get worse, chasing these fast receivers around. I predict 42-9 Texas in the Big House statement game. Think Clemson was bad, Georgia-Clemson. This one's worse.
All righty. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I got Texas. I do got Texas covering. It's just Michigan isn't the Michigan that was last year. They lost a lot of people.
Are they on track to look like TCU the year after they won a national title?
I think so.
Their defense is nowhere near as bad.
I would say
they're not going to
defense
be
is
as
way too-
bad.
that defense is
They're
way
not going to
too
be
good.
as
They're keeping
bad,
winning a
but
lot
they're
of
going to
games.
lose some game. Like I think they'll probably.
I got them going like
their
8-4
schedule.
or 7-5.
Yeah, which isn't
Which isn't too
not
bad.
a good
Yeah.
year after the
you win.
Yes, but
You just lose
if
from
Donovan
down
Edwards
here.
can't rush 50 yards,
Yeah.
like that, I'm just gonna assume he's hurt. That's what I'm assuming, or they're saving him.
I just
but if
think
he
it'll
can't
be-
run 50 yards and that was their best running back, like that's a problem. If you have to run 2 quarterbacks in a system, that's a problem.
Which I hate.
You
that.
don't have one quarterback.
I hate
right?
the 2
Like,
QB
you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got
if
one.
both your quarterbacks can't throw the football, that's a problem.
Cam
Yeah.
had a point. You said
I just hate the 2 QB system. You don't ever give anybody any reps. You're also getting
No.
the starting other 10 players on the field. They got to get acquainted with you on the field. So it's just like
And
That's
as
2
a defensive
quarterbacks
guy,
as a
I wonder what
receiver-
you're doing when this guy comes in the game.
Just put somebody in and stick with them.
Yes.
I think they should play the walk on the whole game.
it's like when
Yeah.
I
He
used
gives
to
you
run
the best
Gerard Hurd and
chance.
Tyrone
Maybe put
Schultz.
Alex Orgean
God.
on like 3rd and short, 4th and short. Maybe
But you
get
know
some
he's gonna
goals.
run the ball.
That's fine. That's still better than rotating them in mid possession. Like you have situational packages. Heavy personnel, 22 personnel for some people that need the whiteboard, things like that.
Well, I think that honestly, it's going to be too easy for Texas to make them uncomfortable on offense, to take away what everybody knows they're going to try to do, establish a run game, control time of possession. Texas is going to immediately take that away from them. Like I said, it's a tailored matchup. This Texas team is not who you want to play when you're trying to find an offensive identity or just in general an identity. And I think what you guys said, a team that I would compare it to, I think ceiling, if they're able to find that at some point in the year, yes, an 8-9 win team because their defense is going to be so good. But if they don't ever find that, like 2010 Texas following that 2009 season where the quarterback play fell off and our roster wasn't what it was the 10 years prior. That had happened to Texas under the Mac Brown era. What people forget is Colt McCoy carried a team for a few years. The defense stayed solid enough. We had Earl Thomas, a rack post, so the defense was really good. But the offense, the roster on the offense, from the offensive line to the receivers who he was throwing to, was not the same as what Vince Young had prior, but he carried it, and it didn't matter. You lost Colt McCoy, Garrett Gilbert comes in, had some shoulder issues, all that. He never became what we thought he was going to become. Could not raise the roster another level like Colt McCoy did, and we went and missed the bowl game that year.
Yeah.
The floor is Michigan missing a bowl game. Do I think they will? No. I think that there's enough sorry offenses in the Big Ten where they just
for
beat them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get to 7-8 wins, but I think they're comparable to that 2010 Texas team regardless.
But I think Texas wins. They do cover the spread. My player props I have in it is Jadon Blue over 17.5 receiving yards.
Stole my
That
prop.
was my prop.
And I also have another one.
That in before Prize Picks season.
I also have another one. I also have Burt Auburn over 6.5 kicking points.
Oh, 100%.
I
like
like
that.
nice. I would take. What's Michigan's kicker at?
Ah,
Because I got him making 3 field goals.
He's at 6.5 right now. I just checked before we started shooting. I think he still should be there because Sleeper doesn't bump. Shout out Sleeper.
Shout out Sleep.
Shout out Sleeper. Y'all
Yeah,
do.
hey, if you
been on
guys
that
ain't playing
sleeper.
on all the books, you ain't trying to miss.
I've been on the Sleeper,
Okay,
man.
no, Zavada, I'm sorry. He's at 4.5 now. So he's at 4.
I might have to
So
throw that in a slip.
his line is
I told myself I was gonna stay away from this game, but I might throw that in.
it has the looks to be one of those that possibly turn out that way. Cam, what we got next on the board, man?
Yeah, so and obviously I got Michigan. No, I'm playing. I got Texas 7.5. I think they take care of business, and I want them ranked as high as possible when we take them to the Cotton Bowl. I was gonna play this on the mic, but I was like, nah.
Last point I was going to make just quickly. Loveland, Michigan's best player. I think Texas has the perfect personnel to remove him from the game. From Anthony Hill to the safeties, Colston Loveland will be a non-factor.
They don't. I mean, even last year they had Roman Wilson, but like he was their best receiver. They don't even have anyone that's even near him last year, and he wasn't even to me like that elite.
No.
So next on the board we got Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Or against Okie Light. I think this is an interesting game. Arkansas looked really good, explosive on offense. Oklahoma State returns a ton of people on offense. They have one of the most veteran offensive lines in the country. They have really good running backs. They have Alan Bowman in his 20th season. So I think Oklahoma State should cover this. I think they win. But Arkansas is a team that I'm like, are they good? Are they not?
So they took Jaquindon Jackson, former Duncanville quarterback, went to Texas, transferred to Utah. He's now the running back for Arkansas. I have his rush yards at 57.5 because I don't like Oklahoma State's rush defense. I think it's lackluster. I don't think they responded well to it because, again, if you remember seeing them last year, they returned a lot of the same guys from that Texas game or from that last season in general. But that Texas game, obviously, you had 2 guys who completely ran the ball down their throats in the Big 12 championship. Now, obviously, Quinn got his bag. But I don't like them in terms of the run defense. Do I think they cover that at -7.5? It's possible. But yeah, I got Jaquindon Jackson running all over them at 57.5, bro. I think he goes nuclear on them, to be honest with you. He's I was gonna say something and I was gonna have to pause. He weighs more than what he did at Utah and when he was at Texas because now he's a running back in the SEC, so he did put on additional weight. And again, you're not only looking for him, but you're looking for the quarterback, Green, to also be a threat when it comes to that run game. So I think they mix it up. I think they mix it around. But that's the prop I have. Jaquindon Jackson over 57.5 rush yards. I do take Oklahoma State, however, to cover that spread because they're playing in Stillwater.
Alrighty.
I love Arkansas at +7.5 there. I might even sprinkle the money line, but for this purpose, the +7.5, just because everything you said about the running game, SEC physicality. I'm just not big on Alan Bowman at all. He's another one on the list of time to get a real job quarterbacks in college football. Ollie Gordon, I like him, but when you stack up against bigger physical fronts that you'll see in Arkansas, he doesn't light the world on fire like that. And then Oklahoma State just in general in the preseason. Now, I'm talking about Arkansas. I don't think they're going to be one of the most elite defenses in the SEC or whatnot, but they still will be big, fast, and physical. Guys like Jaquindon Jackson, I just like their speed and what they'll be able to do to what's usually a soft Oklahoma State defense. And until they're not, I just assume that they are.
I got Oklahoma State winning the game, but I actually have Arkansas covering the spread as well.
Yeah.
All right, like it. On to K-State at Tulane. I think this is a really, really underrated game. Obviously, I'm going to be paying close attention to Tulane this week because we play them the following week. But this spread right now is K-State -10. I got K-State winning, and I don't think they cover. I got Tulane covering that. But a prop I like for this game is Avery Johnson, pass and rush yards at 244.5. I think this kid is super talented. I also think this is a game where the offense is going to have to require to, put some drives together together and score some points on a talented Tulane team that's going to be able to score on Kansas State. So that's my prop for that game.
Yeah, it's a hard game. Realistically, I'm not touching it. I see the number actually dropped to 9, -9 on Kansas State. If anything, maybe it's the point total set at 47.5. I'm an unders guy. I would maybe go under that just because it's low. And Kansas State, I kind of agree with you. Good teams win, great teams cover. I don't know that they're a great team. I got them in my Big 12 championship against Kansas. I don't know that they're a great team. Tulane's a very solid team with good weapons, good quarterback play. I kind of agree with you. If I was going to bet on it, I'd bet for Tulane to cover, but maybe take the under at 47.5.
I like that.
Yeah, they blew out UT Martin week 1, 41-6, and it was obviously we're looking at their defense because it's a K-State defense, right? They're disciplined. They play smash mouth football. We all like that about K-State. But my prop on this one is the under at 48.5. I just don't. I think Kansas State wins this game. I mean, their money line is -380, but again, I don't know if that's really. But that should be questioned. They do have one of the best defenses in the Big 12. I think in college football in general too. But I think you're not probably going to see too much scoring from that. Avery Johnson, dual threat guy. He didn't really throw too crazy against UT Martin. There was no need to. Obviously, you go 41-6, right? But I'm taking under 48.5 for sure.
Cool.
I got the same as last game. Kansas State wins, but they're going to squeak out by this one. I think Tulane does cover the spread, but it's going to be a very grueling, low-scoring game because Tulane's not a team to mess around with. I mean, they can beat a good amount of people. They have a great roster, so I got Kansas State beating Tulane.
And Kansas State's going to run the ball a lot too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. I mean, no, not taking shots at y'all, but that's why they beat y'all because they just hold the ball.
They condense
That's why they beat us because they just hold the ball.
And they're just a physical team that back in the day those teams didn't prepare to play against.
At all.
So now we got Georgia Tech, who's ranked on here. Shout out to Georgia Tech at 23 at Syracuse. The line right now is Georgia Tech -3 for this game. I'm gonna take Georgia Tech to win and cover. I think Syracuse is they have a leaky defense. They gave up 203 rushing yards on the ground to Ohio a couple weeks ago. So the prop I like for this game as well is Jamal Haynes over 85.5 rushing yards at Georgia Tech. I like the way that they get him the ball over there on offensively, and I think we've seen a group of 5 team have a running back go for 200 on Syracuse. So I think they have a really leaky run defense.
I agree. I'll take his anytime touchdown prop, to be honest with you. They're a good run team. Syracuse, they're good. They got Georgia's DB coach as their new head coach, Fran Brown, I want to say his name is. But he's trying to turn that program around. So I follow Cam on that one. I think they cover, and I'm gonna take Georgia Tech's running back with the anytime TD.
I don't know. It's kind of a close one for me. I feel like Georgia Tech does win, but long shot, I wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse won. I feel like with the other one's got Common Cord, right? Yeah. With the addition of Common Cord, I think the pressure of Ohio State was just too much for him.
Yeah.
I think he's a lot more comfortable in this system and is a lot more of himself.
The national expectations aren't the same as Syracuse.
Exactly. So I think this is where you see what Common Cord should have been.
Yeah.
I obviously don't think when he plays the good Big Ten teams, it's going to be the same way. But I wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse does win this game, but I'm going to take Georgia Tech. They do cover by 3.
Yeah, Georgia Tech to cover. The number scares me. It's in the Carrier Dome, but I'm going to trust in the way that Georgia Tech's been consistent from the end of last year to obviously with Florida State, and a Florida State loss to Boston College. I get it, but I think it's a good chance for Haynes King to outduel another quarterback that's kind of been around. First was DJ. Now you got McCord. Go outduel him in the Carrier Dome and keep that momentum going in Atlanta. I'll take Georgia Tech -3.
Cool. And now we're on to the Baylor at Utah. How about them Bears? Sick 'em. This game I don't have a
Bears,
prop
baby.
on, but I do think Baylor actually covers this spread at +14.
I think this is disrespectful. I was going to drop a word on here that was probably going to be censored, so forgive me. I caught myself. That's disrespectful, in my opinion, because I get why they like Utah and why they're so high on them. Again, I'm a big fan of Kyle Whittingham. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football. There's a reason he's been at that job for 20-plus years, and he's kept them as up-to-date as they have been as a program. However, -14 is a lot, bro. That's a lot. And you got to keep that consistent
to
through
15.
4 quarters.
And move to 15 too.
Like, that's what I'm saying. If you don't think this Baylor team can score 15, can be at least within 15 by the time this game is over, I think you need to stop watching college football. I think you don't know what you're talking about. And I think you have lost your ever-loving mind. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to smash the Baylor plus 15 for the obvious reason that, I mean, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always going to take my guys first and foremost. Even if I don't take their money line, I'm for sure taking that plus 15. That's just a lot, bro. That's a lot. That's 3 scores practically.
Yeah.
So Baylor plus 14.
I like it.
It started at minus 17.
Oh, so it's been
It opened
moving.
at minus 17.
Georgia's going up and down, up and down, up
I'll
and
go
down.
plus 15, and I'll go Baylor plus 15 and the over 54.5.
Okay, like that.
I will also tell Shoney I do like the over at 54.5. I do think Utah wins though. You got 30-year-old quarterback back there. It's been in the system for 50 years now, so he should be able to throw a thing or two here and there. But
For sure.
I do think Baylor does keep it closer than 15, but Utah does win. Sorry.
I agree with you, but plus 15 is abysmal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Alrighty, and we got Iowa State at Iowa, a rivalry game. I like Iowa State to outright win this game, money line over Iowa. I think Iowa is one of those teams that has a very good defense every year, but so does Iowa State, especially with Matt Campbell. This is a school that doesn't recruit at a high level, but around year 2, year 3, year 4, when they had a lot of veteran guys in the system, which they're returning this year, and they have Rocco Becht, who was I think he was like Big 12 Newcomer of the Year last year at QB. So they have a really talented quarterback and offense. I just think their offense is better, and I think their defense matches up with Iowa. So I got Iowa State outright.
Fun fact, Iowa's first game last week matched the total amount of passing touchdowns they threw last year. They threw 3. Caden McNamara, I know, right? Threw 3 passing
He's still in
touchdowns.
college too, damn.
And matched, well, technically it's his 4th year. So, I mean, he's good, right? But they matched the same amount of passing touchdowns they threw last year in the matter of 1 game. So congratulations to them.
Crazy.
However, I'm still definitely take that Iowa -3 because their defense is just going to be their defense. I mean, they produce obviously multiple All-Americans, multiple first-rounders. It's just hard to go against them. I have a nasty cramp in my hamstring that I'm trying to rub out while telling, and this is crazy. But now to your point, yeah, I just think Iowa covers, man. That their defense is just one of the most touted in all of college football, and they just always seem to reload no matter how much they lose. So give me them.
All right.
Already under 35.5 punts.
For
punts,
sure.
punts.
I'm going with Iowa State, actually. I think Iowa's defense will be on the field too much. I'm still not high on Iowa's offense. They scored 6 points in the first half this past game.
Against Indiana State?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that still is alarming to me. I mean, you just can't get anything going. Yes, he threw 3 touchdowns, 251 yards, but when you're playing a higher caliber team, it just doesn't get it done. So I'm going to go with Iowa State and them obviously covering the spread.
Alrighty, and then we got Tennessee, number 14 ranked Tennessee at NC State. This is a huge game for the ACC, as we've seen Florida State drop their first 2 games, and we also seen other teams around the country like Virginia Tech and other people lose games within the conference. This game is right now Tennessee -8. This is an interesting game, neutral site. And
Where are they playing at?
Duke Mayo Bowl, so wherever that
In Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yeah, in Charlotte. So, and that's the thing. I think I looked it up. Charlotte's like Knoxville's like 3 hours and 40 minutes from Charlotte, and NC State's obviously North Carolina. So
It's in Raleigh, too.
yeah, so it's like very, very. Tennessee's fans will travel. They will be there. I expect it to be 60-40 in favor of Tennessee fan base. They have a massive,
Really?
yeah, they have a massive fan base. They will travel. They also have a ton of money.
Even though it's an in-state game technically for NC State? Okay.
Especially with
travel
it
well.
being under 4 hours, I think it'll be 60-40.
100%.
They're like LSU fans. They just travel well.
Exactly. But I think Tennessee, I think they win, and I do think they cover. I think this offense is just too explosive. We saw North Carolina State struggle the following week or week 1 against Western Carolina or whoever they played.
The Catamounts.
Yeah. So, and then a prop I like for this game, I have 2. I like Nico Amalaleva. I hope I got it right. Over 258.5 passing yards. I think it's going to be a showcase game for him. I also think North Carolina State will score, and I also have Grayson McCall in there with 240 passing yards. And another prop, three for y'all. I got Brew McCoy, who been at 1,000
That's what I was
schools,
gonna bring.
at over 40.5 receiving yards as well. So I like 3 props in this game. I also like Tennessee to cover.
Yeah, I like Brie McCoy over 40.5 receiving yards as well, and I love Tennessee to cover in this game. The -8, you said NC State struggled week 1, but it's not just because of that. NC State starts off as like the number 24 or 25 team every year, and they go 8-4 and 9-3, and they don't do anything to write home about. They beat who they're supposed to be, and they lose to who you think they're going to lose to.
Yeah.
I've been high on Tennessee. I'm going to stay high on Tennessee. I think they'll play very fast in that veer and shoot. They'll be too fast, SEC speed. Represent it. I think, like he said, 60-40 fan base wise, showcase game for Tennessee early in the season. They covered -8.
Yeah, I got Tennessee covering as well. I really like Nico. I really do. He's exciting to watch, and he's actually really sharp with the football. You can tell how much knowledge he gained from last season to this season. He protects the ball well. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to beat him by like 12.
Yeah.
Give me Kevin Conception anytime touchdown. I don't know if he's going to hit those yards at 73.5, so I can't guarantee that, but I do think he finds his way to the end zone because, again, he's probably the best receiver in that conference. And the ACC, again, is a good conference, but I think it's either him or Xavier Restrepo that's the best receiver in that conference. And additionally, I'm also probably going to go ahead and take Squirrel White at 49.5 passing yards or receiving yards. He's a low-key kind of guy. He's, it's weird. He basically gets his yards in the most kind of opportune of situations, but I think that's why he is who he is. He's going to get you, he's just, again, his nickname is Squirrel for a reason. He's hard to get. He's hard to tackle. He has an open look, man. He's going to take that thing. It's hard to catch him. So I'm going to take those 2 guys, but I am going to take Tennessee, obviously, to win that game.
Cool. Now we got the Oklahoma Sooners versus the Houston Cougars. This game's at Oklahoma -30. No bias. I think Oklahoma covers that.
My money is 100.
I think Oklahoma covers that. And then a prop I like is Deion Burks over 66.5.
Took
receiving
that,
yard.
baby.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got Oklahoma covering. It's not even close. You watch the way Houston played last week. It's just abysmal, as Steve likes to say. Yeah, like I said, -30. They kind of did scare me last week covering the spread. It wasn't until that pick late, but they got it done. I have a prop with Jackson going 1.5 touchdowns over.
Okay.
I'm going Jackson over half an interception. Love that prop. And then I'm going to fade the public, and I'm going to go Houston +30. I'm a fade the public guy. So fade the public, and then I do really prop of the weekend, Jackson Arnold over half an interception.
Prop of the weekend.
He's definitely,
What is your actual?
he's not throwing a pick.
Oh, my God.
But what is like your
Bro said prop of the weekend. Not only did he say that,
unbiased? What is it?
Unbiased 30 is a lot of points.
30 is a lot
It
of
is a lot.
points.
I think that
30 is a lot of points. That's the
good
biggest
teams
spread we
win,
have.
great teams cover.
We covered
I don't
last
think
week.
Oklahoma's a great team. They barely covered against Temple Junior College. And
Covered by
now
7.
they're playing Houston. Houston didn't give up 100 points last week, all right? And the UNLV
Yeah, defense kept
is a
them in the
good
game.
team with Brennan Marion calling the plays and an offense that can put up points. So I think Houston +30 and Jackson Arnold over half an interception. I mean, I didn't say he's going to throw 5 interceptions, just 1.
They just want him to be on par with Quinn, like the same.
Well, we'll see. We'll count the interceptions.
Yeah, I was
at
gonna
the end
say
of the
earlier during the Michigan when we were talking about the Texas Michigan, I kind of want Quinn to throw a pick
Why?
because he locks in after picks.
I don't really know that Carlos is a Longhorn fan.
No, but thing is he
Hey,
locks.
welcome to being a Cowboy fan with
Listen.
Carlos.
Oh, my God.
Listen,
Pessimist.
Quinn just dials it in after picks. He goes crazy after picks. That's what I want.
That's fair.
That's what I want. I
get
just
it,
say,
I
no,
get it.
first play of the game, so pick. After that, just
Just
perfect.
get the jitters out. I
Yeah,
get
just
it.
perfect. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He just goes crazy after
That's
picks.
just what you get with those kind of gunslinger quarterbacks. You're going to expect
Yeah.
to pick with them. But Jackson Arnold, I think he'll be fine. They have his line on sleeper right now at 2.5 passing touchdowns, which is crazy.
You threw 4 last week.
True,
Wait,
but
what did you just say?
Jackson Arnold, he's at 2.5 on sleeper for passing touchdowns.
So it must have been
Yeah,
a
just
goblin.
change it to the Goblin on Price Picks. 'Cause that's what I took.
The Goblin. He's like, I'll take that. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And now we're on to Boise State at Oregon. Interesting game.
Give me the Boise State spread. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
Yep,
Boise
same. I picked Oregon to miss the playoffs. I loved how lame they looked week 1. Dylan Gabriel. That was the most Dylan Gabriel stat line of all time, where he has like 400 yards on 700 passes, and he doesn't push the ball down the field at all. They don't score a lot of points. That 19.5 is a lot of points, and I think that that's a overcorrection to all the preseason hype of Oregon. and you're going to keep giving them a big number and a big number. I've seen a dozen Texas teams like that before in the Herman era and early in the Sark days when you weren't this complete team and you didn't have that elite quarterback play. That elite quarterback play, I don't think you're covering 19.5 points. And in general, I just don't think they're that team.
Cam, how do you think your man responds, man? DG, tough
See,
week
so
one.
the thing
Oregon.
is, when you watch the game against Idaho, I watched it back on Wheels. Shout out to Wheels, it's one of the best channels on
Wheels
YouTube.
is amazing.
Even for baseball.
Well, that's what they started out doing too. So when you want to watch like games really quickly and in succession, but I think this line is a little high. Boise State is one of these fringe group of five teams we have into the playoffs. Oregon struggled against the Idaho team, so I think 20 is a lot. I do like Boise State to cover here. I can't find any props on Prize Picks for Oregon.
I don't think you ever find a DG prop.
Yeah,
'cause they knew they lost money
They're not
last
gonna let
year.
everybody just
They lost money
win on
last year.
DG.
Sleeper has him at 346 on passing yards.
Jeez,
with
that's a
3.5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
an
I'm saying, what's the running back at?
Tez?
Ashton or whatever.
Ashton?
Or Genie.
Well, here's the thing. Josh James is their starting running back. I think it's Josh James. He backed up Bucky Irving last year. He's at 82.5 rushing yards. On his prop, Ferguson, the tight end's at 51.5. Evan Stewart doesn't have yards up. He's just at 0.5 receiving, 0.5 anytime. Holden.
2022, right?
Yep.
Tez Johnson
He's
is at
number one receiver in America.
102.5 receiving yards, to answer your question.
Okay, yeah. So that's a game where they're kind of expecting the same result. I just think Boise State, they have a really, really good running back, and I don't think
Ashton Genty.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. That guy. Yeah, I don't like Oregon in the spot to cover. I do think they win. I do think they have a bounce back game. Dan Lanning is a really good coach, and I think this is the kind of game that they needed prior to kind of get them on track and kind of jumpstart their season.
Yeah, I didn't watch it like you did. I didn't watch back on it. I watched a couple highlights and stuff. But I was going to say, I look at that game. I don't know what you think, but I look at that game and I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, Oklahoma wanted to move on from Dylan Gabriel and was ready for Jackson Arnold to go in because
100%.
Jackson Arnold has a higher ceiling than Dylan Gabriel. That's the thing. Dylan Gabriel, that's what I've been saying all offseason long. He has a low ceiling. He's already maximized his ceiling. I get it. Y'all are saying he's getting better players. Well, he's also going to be playing better teams, and he struggled against Idaho. As it goes on, I don't know. I just don't think that – I think he is what he is. He's efficient. He can go as far as your roster can take him, sometimes even a little below that. And maybe on his very best day, he's really good, but he doesn't have enough of those days a year.
If he can just capitalize, that's really where they fell short this past weekend, is that their offense didn't capitalize on the scoring opportunities. Kim, I'm sure you could testify to this. That's what hurt them. They really should have scored 40.
That's what I was going to say.
It's interesting seeing the OU.
Well, that's what I was going to
community
say
talk about it.
was they didn't capitalize on their scoring opportunities, and I'm actually fading all of y'all. I'm actually thinking that Oregon does cover the spread, and they do bounce back from the bad play that they did have last week. And we're used to seeing the DG lines that we saw at Oklahoma, where he has like 2-3 touchdowns, 250, 300 yards, and I do think we get that out of this week. Now, Boise State is a very good team, and they're one of those fringe group of 5 teams that can make it into the playoffs.
2023 Mountain West champions.
I do think just playing at Oregon.
if Oregon doesn't cover,
if they
set
don't,
the alarms off.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that just yet, but I do have Oregon covering. I do think you do get a bounce back game from them. So I'm picking Oregon covering bounce back game.
Fair enough.
And now we're on to we got 2 more games left on the slate. We got Cal going to Jordan Hare and playing Auburn. The spread right here is Auburn minus 13. That place is hard to play at, but last year we saw New Mexico State go in there and beat them by 20. So I don't really know.
You know
what
who
to
their quarterback
expect.
was.
And then you see Alabama
the
escape
Vandy's
on 3
quarterback.
seconds.
What'd you say?
And then you see Alabama escape on 3 seconds.
Exactly. So you don't know what to expect. I think, but they barely beat Cal last year. Obviously, it was a West Coast game. It was on the road. It's a lot different. I think Auburn's offense is playing better, and I think just the guys they have on the perimeter with Cam Coleman and some of the other high-end blue chippers they have at receiver are just too much for Cal. I do think Auburn covers here.
I'm only going Auburn just off vibes alone. Hugh Freeze is just talking his team down so much that I think that he's got a better team than he's leading on to believe. It's year 2 with him. I'm just going them. I don't know enough about Cal at all to really. And
Me too.
It goes against. I've gone against every other 2 touchdown favorite. I usually go against 2 touchdown favorites in college football and stuff like that, just because oftentimes it's too many points. So this one, they're 13-point favorite. I'll go with them. Just vibes.
I don't know too much about Cal. Auburn's in the SEC. They're typically middle of the pack. Sometimes they have that random team that
competes for a national championship.
competes for a national championship. I'm going Auburn. Covering the spread. I don't know too much about Cal, but I'm gonna say yes. But yeah.
I mean, Cal, like I said, they return obviously one of the best running backs in college football, Jay Knott. He is really that guy. I think obviously he benefited too because last year the coordinator, we took him, Jake Spavital, so he's now our coordinator. We took him from Cal, and I don't know, man. I mean, they played They played UC Davis week 1, 131-13 at Cal. Another one of those tune-up games you get, but I just don't think they have the firepower or the ability to go to Auburn, Jordan Hare, and kind of just set it ablaze like they may have last year because they were a good team last year, kind of like a sleeper team, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll take Auburn. I'm confident that they could cover that. They should be able to. To Shoney's point, man, Hugh Freeze is a freaking maniac, and any team that's coached by Hugh Freeze is bound to do something absolutely nuts. So even if they're not a quote unquote good team this year, I guarantee you they're gonna piss some people off, and that's all you can expect of him. So yeah, I'll cover with Auburn on that.
Yeah.
All righty, and then last but not least, we got Colorado on the road at Nebraska. This is going to be a game that is going to be the perennial game at night outside of the Tennessee game on NBC. I like Nebraska in this spot.
It's on NBC?
Yeah. And Colt McCoy, I think, is doing it because he just got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just got his new gig with NBC.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
For that matchup, absolutely. This more seems like a big noon kickoff kind of game.
Yeah.
Or like an
that's Texas and
ESPN,
Michigan.
something.
That's Texas and Michigan.
ABC at night,
Something.
NBC. I was not
No.
expecting that.
I like an NBC,
I like NBC,
football game.
yeah.
I like their product.
I like
Yeah.
NBC Sunday Night Football.
Oh, nothing's like it.
Notre Dame, NBC.
But Colorado at Nebraska, I think this game is going to – I've kind of been back and forth with this game because I do think Colorado has just elite skill.
Been back and forth
they have a
with this
great
game.
QB. But, I just think Matt Rule – I mean, you talk to any coach across America, they all – when Matt Rule's name comes across the table, they all say that guy can coach.
Oh, speaking from personal experience, he turned our program completely around after the whole Art Ryle scandal.
They should still be dead over that in the 3 years.
Yeah.
Bro, literally, we took Wake Forest as head coach. He was with us for 1 year. We got Matt Rule straight out of Temple. Matt Rule, in a matter of 3 years, turned our program completely around. Had there been a 12-team playoff that year, we would have made it,
Exactly.
number one. But secondly, I mean, he built the defense up. We put out two guys now who are starting in the NFL off that defense alone, Jalen Petre and Terrell Bernard. So that's the hard thing to your point. I mean, Matt Rule, from a personal standpoint, that man has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and I've been back and forth. I think Nebraska's going to win, but I kind of think Colorado is going to cover at plus 7.5. The reason I say it is because that offense is just too talented. I think they backdoor with a backdoor cover, and I think Dylan Raiola. This is the biggest game he's ever played in. I think he's a really talented QB, but I could see Nebraska getting up on Colorado by a couple scores and then him making a costly turnover when you got Travis Hunter and some people like that in the secondary. That will give Colorado a cheap touchdown to make it closer than it really was. But I do think Nebraska will win. And then my props, Shedeur Sanders over 310 passing yards. I like Dylan Raiola as well over 245.
I got Nebraska in this game, and I do have them covering the spread at 7.5. I'm still not high on Colorado's defense, and they have no run game. So you know that you have to protect the pass. So you're probably just going to play something that goes in your favor. Matt Rule does have very good defenses. So for me, it just only makes sense to go with them. And I do have a prop this game. It actually is going to be Travis Hunter half on the touchdown.
Yeah, I like Nebraska to cover a lot, and it's not even really, I was high on Nebraska, got them in my Big Ten championship and low on Colorado, but it's not even that. After watching the first week, I think Colorado's going to compete in pretty much most of their games in the Big 12 because they got too many weapons. They're too good offensively. But Matt Rule, like you said, I think you nailed it on the head. I think he builds a hard-nosed football team, and from his opening press conference in Nebraska, that's what he's talked about, turning them into a hard-nosed football team again at Nebraska. And in the trenches, I think they'll beat Colorado up. I think that Shedeur's going to make plays. I think he's going to make plays under duress and look great. and yet they will keep him under duress for too long to where they're going to get more stops. And then on the other side of the ball, that defense is so bad at Colorado. I don't see them getting enough stops at all to keep it competitive. And as it pulls away, I think the more disciplined, hard-nosed team can cover the number and protect that freshman quarterback from making too many mistakes.
Yep, getting back to that old Nebraska football that used to be.
Yeah, it's good for college football.
I have Jimmy Horn's receiving yards on that game at 68.5. To your point, I just don't see
Pump the
Nebraska.
hell out of that.
No, I like
43 and a
that.
half last week to 68 and a half.
I mean, of course.
he's
it was.
nice.
And he went for 198.
I know. I know, but
He's
still.
nice.
Yeah, he's nice.
I know, but I was like,
I genuinely
all right.
think this guy's probably obviously going to be
They didn't recognize that off last year.
he's probably going to be probably like a second or third round pick in my opinion this upcoming year. His skill set is phenomenal. I think a lot of people are asleep on him, but there's a reason Deion took him from USF, and it's because he is generally speaking, outside of Travis Hunter, their best receiver and best offensive talent. So it's hard because, again, obviously him and Shador have that connection. Shador feels super confident throwing to him like he just does throwing to Travis Hunter, and it's clear to see. He made a lot of throws last week where he literally was like, oh, Jimmy's down there somewhere. Forget. Lobbed it. Jimmy came down with it. And then Jimmy also made plays after the catch. So I don't think Nebraska has the talent right now this season to stop that. And I think that's what's going to hurt them. And I also think that even though their defense did look a little suspicious last week in the first half, you have to understand North Dakota State only scored 6 points in the second half. And that's impressive because their quarterback, 18 for 22, 277 yards, had one of the best games in his career. But that second half and that first half is a tale of two halves. I think that obviously Dylan Raiola is a much better Q than Cam Miller is, but I still think that defense coming off of that performance, if they carry that momentum and they stay focused and they don't let the big plays get to them, I think they can make the plays when they need to. Not saying that Dylan Raiola isn't going to have a good game. I think if they can make the plays when they need to, and obviously Shador being Shador, Travis Hunter being Travis Hunter, that team being that team, I think they can win. But or at least take them to cover the spread at plus 7.5. I don't see a reason in which they get blown out by any means of the measure. I don't see a reason they lose by more than one score most. And again, I think that's going to be by 7, if anything. So plus 7.5 is an easy steal for me. I'll take that. Like I said, I got Jimmy Horn's yards at 68.5 because I just don't know who's going to cover him. Somebody got to cover Travis. Who's going to cover Jimmy? So
I like it. All right, well, that'll do it for.
Well,
go ahead.
hold on.
Uh-oh,
We got
yeah. I forgot last time. Go ahead.
We got my
Sleeper game of the week
sleeper
presented by
games of the
Outlier
week. I
Bet.
actually have two. One y'all get early. It is gonna be during the week. But I got SMU
ooh,
and BYU.
okay.
It's at SMU. Hopefully the ponies are turning around a little bit. You know, the first week didn't look too hot. The second week after that, it looked a lot better. Looked like they're supposed to do and compete in the ACC, but they could
They
still
did play
compete.
Houston Baptist.
For sure, but hey, it's positives.
It is
It is positives. And with the ACC looking how it's looking, they could still compete in there. So I got BYU, SMU. That is on Friday at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. And then my other sleeper game of the week, 35 Showdown, UTSA versus Texas State. And that's on ESPNU at 3 o'clock. That's the little, I'm not going to watch that game because I got the 2:30 SEC and all that other good stuff, all these other games. But this is going to be a great game. Texas State can finally compete in these games. So it's fun to watch.
UTSA has in the past has just dominated this series. I saw a tweet earlier today just kind of highlighting the difference between both programs. So it'll be exciting to see a good UTSA team versus a talented Texas State team as well.
Jeff Traylor's still over at UTSA too, no?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a
So
nasty
that's a really
one.
good game. Good pick.
That's a phenomenal game.
But that'll do it for another episode of 54 Yards. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you already haven't. Follow us on the socials. Follow the Shoney Jackson Show as well for programming over there. And if you guys like this, leave a comment. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Without further ado, it's your guys from Opinionated. And we'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.
Welcome.
Boomer.
See you guys.
Sick 'em.